Taoiseach, it's possible that corporations made profits in excess of €300 billion in this state last year. Unfortunately, working people did not fare as well. Yes, most workers did get pay increases, but the majority of those pay increases did not match the rate of inflation and therefore were de facto pay cuts. Maybe this goes some way to explaining why a majority of people who expressed a view when polled by Red C last week supported the pilots. A group of workers seeking a pay increase from a greedy company making massive profits is something a lot of people can identify with. Aer Lingus made profits of €225 million last year. Their parent company, IAG, made an eye-watering €3.5 billion. Executive pay at Aer Lingus has increased 66% since 2019, and only yesterday it was announced that Aer Lingus Chief Executive Officer Lynn Embleton had received a €269,000 share bonus just last week. Meanwhile, the pilots have not had a pay increase in 5 years. Now, this is the largest industrial relations dispute seen in the state in the 2020s, the biggest clash between the interests of capital and the interest of labour this decade. It is in the interests of every working person that the pilots would win their claim. Of course, we have had an orchestra of outrage led by the usual suspects from the capitalist establishment. Aer Lingus said that the pilot stand is insidious. Aer Lingus's great rival, Michael O'Leary, called it industrial blackmail. Your unshockable Taoiseach said it was shocking, and you yourself opted for utterly reprehensible. Never once did you recognise your own responsibility for the current state of affairs. Yes, your own responsibility, because Aer Lingus was privatised between 2006 and 2015. Who were the parties in power? First of all, Fianna Fáil and the Greens, then Fine Gael and, to their shame, the Labour Party. By selling off the national airline to a corporation, it was the likes of yourself and your party which opened the door to a scenario where Aer Lingus could quadruple its profits in a year while holding down wages by more than 20% over 5 years. You need to own your own mistake here, Taoiseach. So it's back to the Labour Court tomorrow. The Labour Court is no friend of working people in my book. If the pilots can get a cost of living increase there, I say good luck to them. But I would have my doubts. If the pilots are left by Aer Lingus with no choice but to escalate their action, they will continue to have my support. Escalation, if it is necessary, will be greeted in the capitalist press with howls of horror. But escalation can serve to bring the dispute to a head more quickly and increase the chance of a settlement which does justice to the pilot's claim, which, as I said earlier, is in the interests of all working people.
Thank you, Deputy Barry TD.
Yeah, I'm a bit perplexed. I'd say you must have struggled on this dispute because I didn't see this coming, but maybe I should have. Look, the first thing is I think it's highly regrettable, Cian Corda, that any member of this House would cast an aspersion on the Labour Court, because I think we have a long-standing industrial relations mechanism in this country with both the Workplace Relations Commission and the Labour Court that is a key part of the infrastructure. And to say it's not the friend of the worker, I think it's just factually untrue. It's not there to be friend of anybody, by the way. It's there to arbitrate, mediate, and come up with solutions to very important things, and to come up with solutions and to bring about industrial peace. You may not be a fan of industrial peace. I personally place quite a significant value on it. So, thank you for your intervention today. I do know, and I do know how upsetting this dispute is to people, and that is what I think is utterly reprehensible about this. Without casting a view on whether it's pilots or whether it's Aer Lingus, there's always two sides to any dispute. I'm very aware of that. There's two sides to every dispute, and everybody's entitled to have a dispute, and everyone's entitled to put in a pay claim. But people are entitled to go on their holidays too. And parents, including in your own constituency, who set aside a few bob to go on a summer holiday with their kids, who are now anxiously checking their social media feeds and websites to find out if that holiday can go ahead. I feel for them. It's their side that I'm on. It's the side of the travelling public. It's the side of the people in your own constituency who might own a hotel or a bed and breakfast or a restaurant or a cafe, who are hoping and relying on tourists coming in over the next number of weeks to help them get through what can be a long winter. So that's the side we should be on in this House, not deciding to be divisive, not deciding to pit one group against the other, but to actually speak up for our own citizens who are trying to go on a holiday. our own people who are trying to go about their business, and our people in this country and the tourism sector, which is particularly dependent. So my position, the government's position, has been crystal clear. We want to see engagement. We want to see meaningful engagement. And as I've said, I don't think there's ever been an industrial relations dispute that has been resolved without two things: engagement and compromise. They're always the ingredients to any solution to any dispute. Now, the question for both parties is, do you wish to do that now and save everybody the pain, the agony, the hassle and the economic impact? Or do you wish to drag this thing out and then end up doing it anyway? Because there's absolutely no doubt there's going to be engagement and there's going to be compromise. That's how you solve industrial relations disputes. So I would hope that you would agree with me that the most important thing tomorrow is for both parties to attend the Labour Court in good faith, to engage in the process in a real and meaningful way, to be respectful of the role of the Labour Court, which I'm not sure you were, and to sort this out, and to stay there as long as it takes until they sort it out. And I say to both parties, there needs to be a willingness to compromise, and there needs to be a willingness to engage. So I very much welcome, Ceann Corley, the fact that parties have agreed to attend together at the Labour Court tomorrow. I thank the Labour Court for the intensive work it's done in the background on this in recent days, and I really do hope that this can help put the matter on a pathway to resolution before there's any further upset or any further damage caused to the travelling public or to the Irish economy.
Thank you, Taoiseach. Deputy Barry.
So let's talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow, representatives of Aer Lingus will walk into the Labour Court, a company which made €225 million profits last year, quadrupling, part of an international group which made €3.5 billion in profit. And they will sit across the table from pilots who have not had a pay increase in 5 years. Of course, I do not want to see a strike. The pilots do not want to see a strike. But the issue is, will they have the opportunity to go back to work with a decent cost of living pay increase which covers the cost of living increases in the last 5 years? If they do, it will be settled. If not, it could be a very different matter. Taoiseach, in order to make the atmosphere better for tomorrow, I want to ask you a question. Aer Lingus are leasing planes and crew from non-union airlines like privileged-style airlines to break the industrial action of the pilots. This is an extremely provocative move tantamount to union busting. It is opposed both by trade unionists in Ireland and trade unionists in that airline's country of origin, Spain. You talk about the need for compromise and to avoid escalation. So give me a straight answer to a straight question. Will you call on Aer Lingus here today on the floor of the Dáil to cease this provocative activity and stop using non-unionised airlines to do this work?
It seems we have the spokesperson for pilots before profit today, and thank you for that intervention. I mean, the reality is my position is very clear. It's crystal clear. It couldn't be clearer. It is not for me on the floor of the Dáil, or respectfully you, though you're perfectly entitled to, in my view, to give a view on which side is to blame, or to apportion blame, or to accuse one side of being provocative, and I haven't done that. I've stood up and accepted that any worker is entitled to submit a pay claim, and of course to use all of the mechanisms available to them to seek a resolution. What I am saying, though, is that it is really important that the opportunity tomorrow is seized. There's been a lot of work that has gone into preparing for tomorrow. Late on Friday afternoon, the Labour Court invited Aer Lingus and IALPA to fresh talks. They commenced at 2:30 yesterday afternoon. This follows direct discussions between the parties last week, which broke down following 5 hours of talks. Discussions between the parties at the Labour Court yesterday concluded sometime after 11 p.m, and I want to acknowledge the hard yards and long hours that everybody put in yesterday, following which we now have the court saying that it will formally intervene. So it's not for me to now add to new aspects to the dispute or new elements that you wish to raise today. It's now reported that the Labour Court has requested that both parties submit final written submissions by close of business today. Let that be the focus. Let there be a court hearing tomorrow, and let's find a resolution to this dispute for once and for all so people can go on their holidays and go about their business.